Okay, welcome back, everybody. Last session of the day, and probably the best session of the day because we've got Lisa Crockett talking about Articulate Rise, which I know for me personally, anytime I see like someone build something in Rise, the final thing always is really impressive to me. And so I'm excited that Lisa is here to show us a few things about that program. And Lisa is, just for those of you that don't know, she has a podcast on TLDC called Intersections in Learning and Development with Monique St. Paul,
Who's
kind of your
awesome.
co-host in that one.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had like some of the best guests on that one. And actually, I need to talk to you about that, Lisa, because, like let's see, I think it was your Aaron Chancellor one.
Erin's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I actually like
I had
released a
so much
recording for that
fun.
because so many people are asking, "Can I see? I want to, I want to see Aaron's."
That was I have to say, Monique said to me, she's like, you seem like you had the most fun of all the people that came in with her. And I'm like, I did. We were geeking out.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
great. It was so
yeah.
fun.
So you folks, you can find that on thetldc.com if
Yes.
you look for the intersections in L&D page, like it's linked in the menu. Check out those. There's quite a few recordings already available there. But now we're going to be talking about Articulate Rise, Lisa Crockett. And Lisa, I'm going to let you just go ahead and do your own little intro, and I'm going to hide
Okay.
myself from the screen.
Okay, Luis, but I'm not going to let you completely hide because I'm going to tell you all, this is the funniest Luis a little bit because Luis is like my muse. And I don't think I've ever actually said that to you before, Luis, but it's hysterical because Luis asks me to do something and I just kind of go, yeah, that's cool. And not thinking, wow, I literally don't use Rise very much. I like Rise. And I kind of had some prejudices going into this, truth be told, about Rise because I thought there were things it couldn't do that I found out I could do. So I'm really hoping that I can share some of that, what I've learned with you. And I'm also hoping this will be pretty interactive. So I'm going to share my screen. What I'm also going to do is drop a link. Now that link's going to take you to a page on my website so you can see where you're going. And hopefully you will get there. You guys will play along today. We've got some other than the chat. That's one of the best features in AirMeet. And play along, and I'll tell you when to go over to the page, but hopefully you've all been able to get there. And let me just reduce that and get back over to that chat. So the audio's struggling. Interesting. At least hoping you have some insight on that. I have a good hard connection. But how's it now, everybody? Think it looks good? Thank you, Luis. All right, awesome. So my goal is to give you just some new ways to explore how to use Rise, how to create engaging content quickly. That's the best thing about Rise in my mind, is how quickly you can put things together and how to use it differently. Like I said, using it for the presentation today to see how that works. And I actually, when I say that Luis was my muse, when he asked me to do this, I decided I was speaking on something else. I used Rise for that presentation to see how it would work for my virtual audience, and it went really well. So let's hope this goes well. But if you've never used it for a presentation, that might be something you want to consider. So let's get started. Now, I wouldn't be a good instructional designer with the amount of seasoning that I have without starting out with please, 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 do not try to design for a tool. The tool should enhance the design, not drive it. And if I can tell you how many times in my own career I've heard that, because I love tools and I always try to use different tools, just know when you're designing, don't think about the tool. And I also promise, by the way, I'm going to share this Rise with you after we finish the presentation. So there's a lot of words here. I'm not going to read them, nor do I expect you to read them. I just want to hit some high-level things before we get into the nitty-gritty of the tool. And that's know your learner, know your learning objectives, right? Cardinal rules of design. How does your design support your learner's success? And we talk a lot in this community about Kathy Moore's Map It. A lot of us absolutely love it. So just a recommendation, and you'll have the link to her website when you get this. Do your activities enhance or distract? So for instance, I had a few GIFs, GIFs. I'm not going to have a point of view on that. But I had a few of these in my presentation last night, and I ended up pulling them at the last minute because someone watched it and said, it's distracting. It's not working for me. And I thought, you know what? It's a serious topic. We're having a serious discussion. For that particular spot, it didn't work. So these visuals are all great, and they're so much fun to work with, but you don't always need them. And that's the hardest pill for me to swallow. Monique will tell you that. She's always telling me to back off and back down on things like that. Also, think about your activities. If they're too hard, it's not good. If they're too easy, it's not good. You don't want to frustrate your learners. You also don't want to condescend to them. So thinking about that, and is everything accessible? And that was one of my prejudices, which is the reason I'm bringing this up. I really thought Rise lacked accessibility. I would like to run it through a Shark tool. But what I did find is there's a lot more accessibility than there have been in the past. And there's this great article that you will get when you, a link to when you get here. And this is from the Articulate community about what they've done through the years for accessibility. So I found some very surprising things when I researched and started playing around with this, and they were really great things. And a couple dodgy things. So platform delivery, you really want to check in when you're using Rise. I'm showing you a lot of things in this presentation that are interactive, that are embedded from other places. But if you're in an LMS that's behind a firewall, those things are very unlikely to work. I did test them on a cloud LMS for one of my clients, and they worked perfectly. And I was completely shocked because I just thought, is it gonna tuck in on anything other than an HTML page? But work beautifully inside of the cloud. But if you're behind a firewall, you work for a healthcare organization like I used to, or any other organization where there's a lot of confidential information, you really want to figure out what might work before you go out of your way to try to create an activity. So we'll look at some of those next. And that brings us to actually the first thing that I'd love for you all to weigh in on. And if you can go to that webpage, the very first activity is, what words would you just use to describe Rise? And I see someone's already in there playing. And if you can, indicate your pros with an exclamation point and your cons with a period at the end. It doesn't matter too much, but just so we can read through them. And a little trick on the word cloud, if you ever decide to use this, by the way, inside of eLearning, is you actually have to type something or hit enter in order to have it refresh. And don't worry, the hitting a rock thing happens because I didn't type anything in. So if you hit click, now I can see what you guys are typing. So I thought this was in real time, and I really wanted to point this out. When you find these activities, make sure you know how they work, do tests on them so you can figure it out. Because when I did find out I had to do this every time, it's a little disappointing and still fun in an exercise depending on how you're using it, but I might not use this if I was in a corporate, doing a corporate presentation, simply because of that. So limited interactivity, let's just look at some of these. Fast production, simple, quick, bugs aren't fixed for years. Yep, lots of little things like that. Limited, but I'm going to say this, by the way, not as limited as I thought it was. For instance, in terms of customizability, and I did not do the best job of this, but I did link some resources where you can see someone doing a better job. But in terms of making the modules look the way you want them to look, creating PNGs for background graphics and using colors to draw the blocks together so it's not quite so blocky. That was something I learned through my research, and I was like, that's kind of fun. And just adding that interactivity in. Also using GIFs, GIFs. I'm going to say GIFs just for the heck of it so that I don't keep doing that. But I do love using these, and I will say using them for the right purpose. Again, last night, using some of those moving elements was really distracting for the audience given the topic. And they may be distracting for you guys. I'd actually love to hear, I'm going to try to look at the chat, if anyone, if anyone has any feelings about the GIFs. I posted a poll on GIF versus GIF on link. Thank you, Jonathan. I watched you this morning, Jonathan, and I thought of you when you were saying that. Rise does have a lot of ways to go, as you just have to know what you can and what's accessible. Exactly. These are just some pros and cons, and again, you'll get all of this later just to get us started. But if there is anybody in here that has never used Rise, because I'm not really going to go through any of the basics, check out this tutorial that I have linked in here, and that will give you a really good basic foundation in Rise. All right. So let's talk about some practical uses. So I'm going to ask you guys again, go back to that webpage and let me know, how do you use Rise right now? For those of you that use it, how do you use it? And you can enter any of the 3 choices, or you can use other. And I do love straw poll for that in itself. Let's see, we've got 6 folks. Oh, here they come in now. There are 40 some odd folks in this session. So I want to see some votes pouring in. Oh my goodness. 9 votes. Can we get one more? Maybe one more vote in there. Oh, all right. Okay, 10 votes. So everybody's using it for e-learning. And that's the best way to use it, right? Or that's at least it's the prescribed way to use it. I'm going to share with you some of the ways that I use it. Like I said, I don't use it a lot, but when I do use it, I use it, and this is my first use for this was not e-learning. It literally is onboarding clients. So I'm going to actually, let's see, do I have that up? Click to. Well, say no thanks. So this is what I provide to my clients when they come to me and they have a PowerPoint or let's say an old type of e-learning, and they want to just do a refresh. I know a lot of you folks get that as well. So I give them some things to think about as we're going to refresh their module, right? To sort of help them walk through how to provide feedback, how to use the articulate tool, things like that. So that's one use. And let's see if I'm able to get out of this. Oh, I think I just closed my presentation. Let's see. Oh, maybe not. Let's see. Sorry. Probably one reason why you might not want to use Rise in a presentation. Bear with me just a second. We'll get back there. Remembering the URL when you're on the dime. I can see that chat, Jonathan. Okay. All right, let's try this again. Oh, we got to the wrong one. There we go. Okay, she's blushing. She's sweating. Okay. So where were we? Practical uses. So as I said earlier, onboarding clients, also wooing prospects. So people ask me what my process is, how I work, what are the different roles. I am not going to click on this one just for the fear of shutting it down again. But I do have something that I provide for my clients that gives them a little information about what it's like to do an e-learning project, especially. And then I use it for my portfolio. So you will be able to get to this when I send you this. No need to look at it now or at all, unless you're interested. But I like Rise for the portfolio, and I've been doing that for quite a while because I love the clean interface, and I think it shows off the things that I put in there without making it messy or making it hard to do. And I love web development, and I develop in WordPress, but if I can do a Rise page that does that and does it quickly, that makes me really happy. So now Rise versus PowerPoint for learning experiences. When I say that, especially given what you just witnessed when I tried to present a moment ago, put an emoji in the chat for me and let me know what that makes you feel like. How would you feel presenting with Rise? Is that something that scares you, that you're like, ah, cool? Oh my goodness. A thumbs up. Okay. All right. I think I see a crooked, yeah, Heidi. It's not easy. I'm hoping that once I get the hang of it, it's going to be a little bit easier. What I do love about it is that they're not slides. Even screens are slides. So they're not slides, and that kind of makes me happy. But I also have a little bit of worriness, and I would love your input at the end of the presentation if it makes you seasick, having to watch this without being able to control it, because I could totally see that. All right, so this was actually the presentation I made last night, which was on designing people programs and the things that you need before you design programs. So I really wanted to get people to interact and talk to me about the kinds of things that they're doing, what they're thinking as I'm talking about these different prerequisites for design. And like I said, it went pretty well, and I used very similarly to what we're using today. And let me pull this over, a web page so that to partner with it so that they could see, ooh, wrong one, the interactivity. And oh my goodness, yes, she needs a lot of practice. Let's see if I go here, what happens. So you can see this looks very similar to what you guys are doing. We've got some word clouds. We used some audio. This was a great way for me when you share your audio sometimes, especially when it's something that you have created, it can be challenging for the folks on the other side to hear, depending on how loud their audio is or how loud yours is coming through. This gave me the opportunity to provide them the audio here, and then to just walk them through as we were moving through the presentation. Now, the other thing I can see doing with this, if not providing a web page, here we go. Now we got it back, would be providing another link to Rise. And I did think about that. My worry about doing that, and the reason that I didn't provide it to you all right now as I'm clicking through it, is simply because you don't want people moving ahead or kind of getting lost in the presentation. You want to keep people in a present spot. So I thought that by providing this, and I'd love to hear if anybody is, what anybody thinks when they hear that. The idea at first was to provide them with the Rise and they could click along with me, but I thought that would get really, really confusing. So if anybody tries that, I'd love to know if that works for you. The thing I really loved about Rise, and I just didn't know I could get this creative with it, and I've never used a bulletin board in a course at all. I know a lot of teachers do this, and I actually learned this from some teachers I'm working with on another project, and I think this is absolutely brilliant. I don't know what I'd use it for yet. It's one of those things where I said, don't let the tool lead you, right? So I'm not going to let it lead me, but I have a feeling this will come up as something that will be workable sometime in the future, even if it's just for a pet project of my own. So you can see, and you can all do this on your own web page. You can include something from Spotify, and I don't know if you'll actually be able to hear this, simply because I don't think I'm sharing my sound and I don't want to mess with this. But you can play the music. I've posted a video here. I'm a huge Napoleon Dynamite fan. Yes, I'm a complete geek. Love that movie. So I thought, what a great way to say hello. And what I'd love for you guys to do, if you're willing, is add something to the board. You can do that from the webpage that I sent you to earlier, where the activities are. And in theory, I should be able to see it pop up here. All you need to do is click the plus button, write me a little message, hit publish. You can put a picture in there. You can put a GIF in there, whatever you'd like, but would love to get a message and just frankly to see if this works. Because I have no idea. I haven't had anyone else try this with me yet. Okay, looks like someone said hi, it works. So this is neat, right? Oh, cool presentation. Thank you. I had a lot of fun with this. Tools are fun. Okay, so here's another fun thing. I don't want you guys to do this now because I want you to be able to ask questions. But if you have not done this, I put this in here, and you can see I've got it listed on the webpage as well. And it's, when you're looking for me, let's say, oh my goodness, I'm losing my words this late in the day. It is after 5 for me. Activities that you can do to icebreakers, right? So for me being a creative and having run creative teams in the past, if I had a group of instructional designers, let's say that I was working with all of a sudden, or any type of design situation, I would want us to start out to get to know each other by doing this. It's a fun exercise. I had a blast doing it. And then you can set it up, as you can see on the webpage. It's set up a little different here. But you can set it up so you're linking to your whatever the activity is. And you're also setting up a survey, and everybody can share potentially what their results were. For instance, when I did this, I got Visionary, which is this cool little green guy here, and I was like flipping out. It was so much fun. And if we hit results, you can see what people vote on. And I don't think I actually put my results in there. And again, I don't expect you guys to put this in here, but go ahead, play with it. And you know what, if you do play with it, come back and give us results in the poll, because I would love to see that. And what did I do? What did she do now? Let's see. Okay, they open new pages. There we go. All right. Oh, I've got a dreamer. Excellent. I'll be checking back in that, I swear. Here's another piece that I thought was interesting, and really was just playing around with what you could embed and actually do inside the software. You cannot do Miro or Jamboard. I tried a few other ones, and I can't even remember what the names of them were, but you cannot embed those so much as put a link in. So if you were working with a group and you were doing something, let's say like this, a live presentation, you could push them out to your Miro board. And if you all, I don't think I actually gave you the link to the Miro board because there's nothing in it, just a blank board. But at least you could link out to something. And this could be Miro, this could be Jamboard, this could be Jira if you're want to link to your project management board, or Monday.com. And I think it's interesting. Really depends on if you have a use for it, but it is good to know you can use it. And after watching 7 Taps a few minutes ago, I want to say, like, I could see using 7 Taps in here potentially, QR codes, which I didn't even think to try to do. But so all sorts of different ways to embed things. But the one thing I want to say about embedding before I push forward is embeds break. So you want to make sure, the good thing about Rise is it's super easy to fix that. Delete it, get rid of it, move it, change it, whatever it is. But you do want to keep your eye on your course, especially if you're linking to things, let's say like that Adobe thing. Like, I own the poll. The poll is probably not going to go anywhere, but that Adobe link could change, probably not for a year or 2 or more. It's really good quiz, but it could go away. And you wouldn't want someone, if you're in e-learning, having that link not be there. All right, moving on. And I promise I'm almost done talking. This is just some other great resources and ways to use Rise. Obviously, like nesting documents is a good way to use it. And I have nested in here, and I don't know if anyone from ID Lance is on this particular session, but they are sponsors for this event. And I'm part of ID Lance, and this was created by Andrea at ID Lance. And it's just a great little easy way to start setting up your scenarios for Rise. I thought these ladies are brilliant. I have linked 2 videos. One is where they're literally just talking about design ideas. They're not sharing their screens. It's a pure design discussion, but focused on things that they're doing in Rise currently. And then there's some great examples that they show here. So, like, I highly recommend it. Anything cool I did here, I learned from them. And some other links to some really good stuff. Some more foundational stuff from the Articulate community about Rise, and then from some really good articles that I found from agencies that do it well and have some good ideas for things that you can do. Well, that is everything I'm going to say, and I would love it if anybody wants to ask questions in the chat. I'm sorry, I've totally not been able to watch the chat, so I'm going to focus back on that. But that's everything I have for you for right now. If does anybody want to look under the hood, I am more than happy to actually bring over the module in Rise. And if anybody wants to check anything out or look at anything or ask any questions, and I'll stop. Well, actually, maybe I should keep sharing my screen just in case. What do you think, Luis?
Sure.
How the road? Oh, you're on mute. Unless I'm on something.
Can you hear me?
Or maybe nobody can hear me.
No. Actually, I think maybe when your audio changed.
Have I been talking for an hour and someone can hear us? Oh, thank goodness. Why can't I hear you?
Let's see.
That is very odd.
We can hear you both. Okay, but
I'm going to stop screen sharing and see if that fixes it. No, maybe did I hit?
I want to tell Lisa. I'm going to type it. Lisa, I think.
That is really strange. Hang on. I'm going to mess with my settings. Keep talking, Louise.
Okay. I think the audio changed when you went into into your presentation. Okay, let me do that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I do see. All right.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just show this question though.
I can hear you now. I'm hoping you don't have an echo because I have you on my main speakers now.
Oh, okay. No
Because
echo.
apparently my headset just decided to die. I think that's why I couldn't hear you. What would you choose, Rise over Storyline? So,
Or when
Jonathan,
would you choose?
when would you choose Rise over Storyline? You know what? Honestly, Jonathan, when my clients would let me use Rise. So I have fought for Rise a couple times with my clients when we've talked about different projects, and they've been a little reticent. But I will say this, I didn't know as much as I know after doing this presentation. And I now have a few things to show them. So I definitely would recommend, like if I can master ever doing it live, I would recommend using it. I love the idea of something alternate to PowerPoint. But also, so I have used it once with a client, and I loved this. What we did was we created a storyline module that was a compliance type of module. It was actually, it was my first and only escape room. So that was a blast. But similar to what you were talking about this morning, Jonathan, we had a companion piece, and the companion piece we made in Rise. And it was basically all the information that the office needed to know about the particular topic, and they could get it at their fingertips. They could print it out and hand it to people, right? Because it also related, it was about HIPAA, so it related to patients. But they would also go through the storyline, which was the gamified escape room, to show them where they could be making mistakes and weren't able to. So infographics, I'm thinking tools that need to be right at your fingertips. I think Rise is great. Not having to click through the storyline module and have that sort of slide mentality, but the way that this works like a really cool modern website. So like a list of information. If you're implementing a new system, I could see the use for putting, let's say, your job aids and your different assets. So I say job aids, and I know people think paper, and it could be a PDF, but it could also be video or things like that. The fact that you can do that in here and have all those different modalities, I think I would love to use it for that.
Great. Okay. I had another one that was in chat, not exactly sure what it's referencing. I must have missed it, but Teresa Vanderpost was asking, what type of blocks are these that you are getting to these web pages?
So mostly embeds, actually, and we can, if there's anything specific you wanted to look at, and let's just, I think the first activity was here. So yeah, these are embeds, they're iframes. Some iframes will allow you to use the iframe that you can get off the site, where it allows you to have some control over the size, and others only let you embed. So, you can do your iframe website, iframe close, as opposed to being able to say, I would like it this wide or this long. As you could see when I went to the, for instance, like this one bugged me. When we went to this board, when I use this on my website, and you can all see on the page that I sent you, I can make that as wide and as long as I want. Here, no matter what well, sorry, I just saw the stuff people were putting in there, and it's awesome. But yeah, on this site, I can't really have any control over the width. Like I would want it to be full width of the page so that we could see everything. So that was one thing that bugged me. I mean, that's a little thing in the grand scheme.
Okay.
Hopefully that answered the question.
I think so.
If there's anything, but I think they're all embeds, frankly, unless it was an original, which I didn't use any original videos in here that were my own. When I have other courses, I've used the video blocks and I don't use the carousel blocks because to my knowledge, those are still really poor from an accessibility perspective. And I don't really see a reason for them in the courses. There hasn't been. Usually it's a picture, an image, a GIF or a GIF, and I can't wait to see what Jonathan's survey comes out to be. That kind of thing. I love to use a lot of video in my courses because I'm a geek and I'm like someone with a hammer, just hammer everything.
Nice. I guess Monica's looking to see if there was a link to the presentation.
Yes, so hang on. Okay, let's on F11. Oh, that was the wrong F11. Now you and I were just huge on my screen, Luis. Okay. And, oh, actually, let me just get you to the index. So I am throwing that into the chat. Now, the one thing I will tell you that the things that you will not, you will hit passwords on the things that are intellectual property of my company, but most of the stuff you will not. It's only those 2 modules that I showed that I give to my clients for onboarding and to woo them. Not that they're that special or anything, but it took a lot of time to create those. So.
Great.
Could I show how I did the path image? Oh, okay. So yes, and I think you asked that before. Someone else asked that before. So that is the magic of Illustrator. So the thing that I learned that I thought was the coolest thing, and I don't think it's in any of these videos because I couldn't find the video I learned it in, but it was literally the use of PNGs in your image blocks with different colored backgrounds. And that's all this is. This is a PNG of a road dash. So I use Envato Elements or FreePick. Those are my 2. And I actually pay for the premium of FreePick because it is so worth it. So I get the vector image, took this vector image, made the dash white. And literally, I didn't make the dash. I didn't even, you could draw the line in PowerPoint. I know Jonathan could do that. I am lazy. And again, rapid development. So I went to, I think this one maybe was FreePick. And I got a road. Took it, I made it white. I got rid of everything else behind it. So I had this nice clear with a white dash. And then I used the background of the block itself to blend it with the block above it. Now, the woman I saw do this and that gave me this idea was doing a traffic course. It's absolutely stunning. And she had movable GIFs coming through here. And it was just gorgeous. I just sort of did the idea of us walking through a road. But yeah, these are, so they're centered images, by the way. Let's see if you want to include storyline and Rise, make sure, yes, all the features of the player. Also, the thing about Rise courses, by the way, I'm so glad someone brought up storyline block. I learned this. I did not know this when I went to publish. So it used to be that storyline blocks were completely untrackable. There are trackable now in Rise, but you're choosing to track the story by the storyline block, not the Rise block. So it's one or the other. It's not both. The LMS can't see both. So thank you for bringing up storyline because I completely forgot I was going to use a storyline block in here and it just didn't suit the learning objectives. So I had nothing to put there that made sense. Let's see, is there anything else?
Okay, I'm going to post J-Rock's poll in chat just so that
nice. Yes.
Everyone can participate in that. And yeah, and I'm not seeing any other questions.
I see someone's asking for a Review 360 link. I didn't even think to give you guys that because I have it posted via my website. Happy to do so if you guys want to give me comments. That's kind of fun. That's a really good idea. I will actually, let's see if I can get to it quickly before I have to log off. Well, actually, no one's after me, right, Luis? So I'm not killing anyone at least.
Nope.
Okay, hang on one second and I'll get you that link. Let's see, there it is. I think that actually brings up another interesting point, which I could not answer. And hang on, let me get you the link first. So here's the 360 link, and I just dropped that into the chat. And I think I actually put this here with a question mark. So maybe someone could enlighten everyone. Okay, it's not there. So it was also with relation to 360 blocks. So I'm gonna go with that. Does anyone know, because I could not get an answer to this and I didn't have a chance to test it. I can't see how if you're putting a storyline into storyline in Rise is driven from Review 360. So if you're taking your Rise and packing it up, does the storyline go with it? Does it act like an embed? Will it work? And I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to test that because that would have been a good test to do. And I will try to follow that up and put something in the TLDC chat on that. But if anyone knows off the top of your head if it would work, please throw it on in the chat and save me right now. Okay. Well, I'll try to get that into the chat and I'll take that on, Luis.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, don't understand. So Monica, my question is, if you're nesting a storyline in a Rise module, you make that module a score module and you put it up in your LMS and the LMS is firewalled, can you still get to the storyline module, which sits in Review 360? I don't know if that made it any more clear. It's such a convoluted question, but
Yeah.
when you embed a storyline course, you're embedding it from Review. And I also wonder, because you can buy Rise as a standalone program, can you still embed because you don't have Articulate 360? Sure. I will drop that in the chat. I should probably check and make sure it works now that I'm typing it off the top of my head. If you also go to the home page of my webpage, you can get to it, but I do think, let's see, is that the right one? Yes. Here you go. Let's see, our LMS is externally hosted and we never had an issue. So Teresa, you're have a cloud LMS, is that right? And is it outside your firewall? Where storyline blocks every time you make a change. Yes, yes. So what Teresa's saying, if you guys are following the chat, is when storyline is it is time consuming just to update one little piece too. For as you guys as instructional designers, I know I get, like, my clients will say, I have a quick change for you, Lisa, and I'm like, okay, and it is. It's like changing a word on one screen, but I'm opening storyline, which now that the file's done, it's probably pretty big.
Yeah.
Takes time to open, takes time to rip, takes time to zip, takes time to upload, takes time to then test it again. Because you and I all, and if you don't know this, please know this, you will go into a storyline file and mess something up at some point when you're doing it really fast and not, like, turn something off. You know, as simple as I turn a video off because I'm trying to do something behind it and I forget to turn it back on. Always test it if you change it. And so all of that can be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour for one tiny little change. And that's just the storyline. Now it's nested in Rise. But Rise is quick, at least. So let's see, any other, not cloud internal, but hosted externally. Okay. Well, it's good to know that it works, Teresa. Thank you so much. Yeah, I was very surprised when I uploaded this to one of my clients' LMSs that everything worked. I was so happy because I thought I was going to have to say, this doesn't work when you do this, and this doesn't work when you do that. So it does work, you know, but test it in your system before you try to sell it to anybody in your organization.
Nice.
Anything else, or are we clear now, Louise?
I think that we're clear now. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, no, Lisa, thank you. This is great. Absolutely. Let's see. Looks like Teresa does have one other comment. Other thing is, if the person who created them leaves your organization, you need to get those files moved over and remapped.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, you have to know where they are. That, you know what? One of the most important things you can do, guys, is like have a way that you put your files together, super organized, so they can be found, so they can be used. Do not hide your files, and don't be like me and have all of your graphics all over the place in your videos. Organize them, because you will want them organized at some point when someone calls you back and you're like, what did I do with that? Where did I get that? I couldn't find the twisty line today that I used in this presentation that you guys were watching. I'm like, where's the twisty line? I deleted it by mistake because I'm not organized enough. Be organized. Don't be like me.
That's funny. That's funny.
All right.
Yeah, it's been great. You know what? And this event is only half over. We still have another 6 sessions tomorrow. And I have enjoyed the heck out of today. But what do we got tomorrow? Oh my gosh, Nick Floro starting out with a bunch of apps. Yeah. And so he's probably going to talk about at least 6 or more apps in his first session. And he's done similar types of presentations before. They're always incredible. Yeah. We're talking OBS, chatbots entwine with Christy Tucker.
Christy's amazing.
So let's see. Oh, Joe Ganchi is going to be in tomorrow talking about Captivate. And then we have Devin talking about Canva, which is great. And then wrapping it all up with Bridget talking about PowerPoint. So yeah, tomorrow.
Killing my week,
Have a wonderful
Luis.
day. Yeah.
I can't miss one. I know you say take breaks, but it's really hard when you want to see people live and like
I know.
engage.
I know. I have to say it though, right? I have to say
You
it.
do. You have to say it. But those of us that are obsessive are still going to be here.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and close it out. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Thanks again for joining today. Looking forward to tomorrow. It's going to be another good one. Have a good evening,
Have a good
everybody.
night, everyone.
Right,
Hey, hook
bye.
up with me on LinkedIn. Please feel free. L Crockett, real easy to find.